Hello everybody and welcome to part 3 of What If Peter Parker Was in My Hero Academia, the series where I combine both Marvel and the My Hero Academia universes together through the perspective of Peter Parker being the protagonist, changing certain aspects of the story through the little cracks, as I like to call them. For example, in this episode, the USJ attack happens and their little areas, like, we know what happens on the boat, we know what happens in many of the different parts, but there's always little areas where you can add stuff because you don't really know what happens. So that's what I'd like to fill. I do have to warn you, this episode got me a bit lightheaded when I started recording because of stuff that happens. So please leave a like, subscribe if you're new, and enjoy the video after the intro. The next day of class, when Peter arrives, he finds the gates of UA crowded with paparazzi and reporters. He tries to get through. As he does, the reporters keep asking him questions while shoving cameras in his face. Peter starts flashing back, remembering his parents' funeral and how the paparazzi for a long time after would swarm his house asking questions to his family. He's reminding of the sadness of losing his parents and the grief felt at their loss. He walks through the gate, tears pouring down his face as he does. As he walks to the main building, he stops midway. He feels a gaze, so he looks behind him, seeing Laura staring at him. "Oh, didn't see you there," Peter says, wiping a tear from his face. She shakes her head and keeps going, not saying a word. As he sees her walk off, Peter whispers, "Right, because why would you talk to me?" He keeps walking, passing by Zawa, who's on his way to talk to the press. "Good morning, Peter," he says, walking by. "Morning, sir," Peter answers on his way to class. Later in the classroom, Aizawa tells the class that he reviewed the combat exercises. He encourages Clayton to be more attentive and not focus on one opponent too much, Peter to keep a level head in battle, Midoriya to get a handle on his power, and Bakugo to not sulk on his losses. "Our next task will decide your future," he says after explaining all that. For a moment, the students stress out, thinking that it's another quirk assessment test. The tension seems palpable in the classroom. "You all need to pick a class representative," Aizawa clarifies. In reaction, many students start presenting themselves as candidates. It seems like all hell is about to break loose, but Ida steps up to the plate, proposing a system to select the class representative, which calms the class down. The class votes and Midoriya is selected as his class representative with 4 votes, with both Yaoyorozu and Kamala having the second most votes. As a tiebreaker, they throw a coin. Kamala wins the coin toss, becoming the vice rep. Having selected their representatives, the class ends and the students go to the cafeteria to eat lunch. Peter decides to once again sit with the support students instead of the hero course. He talks shop a bit with Harry and Riri while eating their lunches. They discuss a variety of things like their projects, how classes are going, and joke around a little about all the media that was outside. While they talk, the alarm goes off, sending the whole school into a panic. The situation solves itself, however, with Ida calming everyone down and informing everyone that the alarm only went off because of the members of the press that managed to get into the school. This turn of events inspires Midoriya to offer the position of class representative to Ida, which Ida and the class accept. After the normal classes are done, Peter heads to his supplementary support course classes, later heading home, because he has to babysit his brothers. The next day of school, Peter follows his regular routine, taking his brothers to their school before going to UA. He spends his commute online, saying on the news that All Might took down various villains. Classes go normally until at 5th period, Aizawa tells the class that they'll be conducting rescue training in an off-campus facility. He informs the class of many details, and after grabbing their costumes, they head outside to catch the bus. Before boarding the bus, Ida starts organizing everyone to board the most effective way possible. They all get in and Ida finds himself disappointed at the bus's layout. On the drive over to the off-campus facility, the class chats a bit, talking about quirks, similarities and differences between different types, and about who would make a good hero. Before long, they arrive at the USJ where 13 welcomes everyone. After a little bit of a freak out over meeting her, the class starts, with 13 introducing the class to the USJ, explaining what the place is and what it's used for. As she explains, they walk through the facility. While walking, Peter feels a small headache. He feels a little bit of pain, but not much. Still noticing that he looks a bit weird, Midoriya asks, "Are you okay, Peter?" "Yeah, fine, it's just a small headache," answers Peter. Aizawa asks where All Might is, so 13 explains what happened. 13 then starts explaining how quirks can be dangerous and that a hero should use their power to serve and protect. They must learn to control their abilities and use them responsibly. As the speech goes on, Peter's pain escalates little by little. The moment the speech ends, Peter falls to the ground in pain, screaming. Aizawa runs to his side asking, "Are you alright? Peter, what's wrong?" "Spidey sense," Peter manages. "Spider sense going wild. Something bad's about to happen." "What the hell's his deal?" asks Clayton, looking at Peter convulsing on the floor. The lights around the USJ start malfunctioning, catching everyone's attention. After that, a portal opens in the middle of the facility. Out of it comes a man covered by a bunch of hands that even cover his face. After him, more and more people start coming out of the portal. More and more portals start opening across the facility, with villains stepping out of all of them. After everyone comes out, two eyes appear on the portal that's at the center. It changes shape, slightly resembling a misty man. The danger having revealed itself, Peter's headache becomes more manageable. He gets up thinking, "That's the worst spider sense warning I've ever had." The students start wondering how they managed to get into the USJ, with Todoroki and Peter offering up an extremely accurate theory. Aizawa tells 13 to get the students away, intent on fighting the villains and keeping them busy in the meantime. Although Midoriya and Peter object, he dismisses their concern and tells them to get to safety. As Aizawa runs into the battlefield, the students and 13 run to the exit. However, the path is a long one, and in between his fighting, Kurogiri slips by, managing to block the path of the students. "There is no escape for you," he menacingly says before introducing the group. "It's a pleasure to meet you. We are the League of Villains. I know it's impolite, but we decided to invite ourselves into this haven of justice to say hello. And besides, isn't this a place for All Might, the symbol of peace, to take his last breath? I believe he was supposed to be here today, yet I see no sign of him. There must have been some sort of change in plans we could have not have foreseen. Ah well, in the end, I suppose it doesn't matter. I still have a role to play." 13 readies her black hole attack, but before she can use it, both Bakugo and Kirishima jump in the way, Bakugo throwing an explosion at the mist, trying to take him down. "Did you think we were going to stand down and just let you tear this place to shreds?" asks Kirishima, confident that they took him down. The smoke clears, revealing Kurogiri unharmed. "Ah, you live up to your school's reputation," he says. "But you should be more careful, children. Otherwise, you might get hurt." Peter's spider sense goes off just before Kurogiri opens a portal. He engulfs the class in it, intending to scatter all of the students across the facility, but many manage to jump out of the way. Before the portal can absorb them, however, Peter reacts, pushing both Ojiro and Kitty out of the portal's reach, but falling in the portal in the process. Sadly, the students caught are scattered around the facility. "Where did you send them?" asks a slightly concerned Ojiro. "You needn't worry about your classmates. I simply sent them to meet my comrades. Besides, you should focus on yourselves rather than them," answers Kurogiri while reassembling himself. 13 turns to Ida and says, "Class rep, I have a job for you. Run to the school and tell the faculty what's going on here." Ida looks stunned at the question, not wanting to leave his comrades behind. The alarms aren't sounding, and our phones and radios are useless right now. One of these villains must be to blame. Even though erasers canceling people's quirks left and right, we're still completely sealed off from the outside world. Likely whoever's causing this interference hid as soon as we warped to the USJ. They could be anywhere, impossible for us to hunt down, 13 elaborates. Ida tries to refute the point but is convinced by his classmates that it's the right thing to do. 13 then fires their black hole attack, but Kurogiro uses his portal to send the attack back. "I can help you out," says Kitty. Ida looks at her with a confused look, so she elaborates. "I can phase you through his portals, and even the door, like I did with Peter during the battle training." Ida nods and gestures her to hop on his back, so she does. The rest of the students there try distracting while Ida charges ahead to the gate. Kurogiri pushes everyone who comes at him off him, letting their attacks just pass through him. He focuses his attention on trying to stop Ida. Kitty, however, goes intangible, passing her ability on to Ida, so he rushes through the warp gates set in his path, even passing through the entrance. Once he's outside, Kitty steps down, saying, "I'll only slow you down from here. Go!" While this went on in the entrance, in the downpour zone, both Tokoyami and Clayton face down a group of villains, picking them off one by one. In the earthquake zone, both Bako and Kirishima fight together, taking down a group of villains all at once, leaving in the area to go help Aizawa when they finish. Meanwhile, in the mountain zone, Kaminari, Jiro, and Yayorozu fight their own battle, managing to defeat a group of villains by using Kaminari's full power, with Yayorozu creating an insulated sheet to protect themselves from the attack. However, one villain survived the attack. In the landslide zone, Todoroki and Laura get ready to fight the villains, with Higakure hiding close by. "Leave this to me," says Todoroki to Laura. Laura stands down, retracting her claws. One of the villains just laughs, saying, "You think you can take us all on by yourself?" Todoroki uses his quirk, freezing the area over, stopping all nearby villains in their tracks. "Don't get me wrong, you guys aren't much to write home about, but I asked to take care of the situation for your own safety. She will have torn you to pieces," he says while walking forward. "Now, unless you want to die, either of slashing or hypothermia, you'll tell us what your plan is. I know you want to kill All Might, but how exactly do you plan on doing that?" To save their own necks, the villains reveal their plan to the boy. Thus, both Todoroki and Laura head to the center of the facility, wanting to help out. A portal opens up in the conflagration zone, 20 meters above the ground. Both Peter and Kamala fall out of it. Peter reacts quickly, grabbing onto the girl and shooting a web, but landing them both safely on the ground. "Thanks," says the girl. "Don't mention it," answers Peter. "So what's the plan?" Before Kamala can answer though, a villain shouts, "They're here!" A bunch of villains come out of nowhere, rushing at the two students. "Run?" asks Peter. "Run," confirms Kamala. Wanting to thin the herd, they run in different directions. 6 villains going after Peter and 5 after Kamala. Peter runs as fast as he can until he runs into a dead end. Left with no other option, Peter turns to face his 6 adversaries. The first one is the Molten Man, a guy whose quirk allows him to superheat his body at will. The second, the Beetle, a man with the power of a beetle and an armor and weapons to add to that. The third, the Spot, a villain whose body is covered in portals. He can open them himself if he wants to. They can act as alternate pocket dimensions or just open normal portals. The fourth is the Looter, a guy with super strength and agility. That as long as he ingests certain gases every certain amount of time. 5. Vermin, a man who is kind of a human-rat combination, who is cannibalistic in nature. And the 6th is Tombstone, a man whose quirk makes his body kind of like stone. He carries a pair of guns for ranged attacks, and as a side effect of his quirk, he can't speak very loudly. Seeing Peter cornered, Vermin's eyes light up. "Hungry! Hungry, so hungry! Finally, cornered prey! Food!" he says, rambling on. "I thought we were here to beat up All Might. What's with this wimp?" asks Beetle. "Whatever, as long as I get paid," comments the Looter. Time to earn our keep, whispers Tombstone as Vermin lunges at Peter, screaming, "Food! Yum yum yum!" Peter puts his mask on and jumps into the air. He flips around, sticking to a nearby building. "Wow, you guys seem pretty sinister. I mean, one of you even wants to eat me," comments Peter, uncertain that he can even survive the coming battle. Vermin turns around, jumping at Peter again. "Whatever, let's just squash this insect," says Molten Man, heating up his body. As Vermin gets close, Peter jumps away, avoiding his attack. Vermin recovers quickly and jumps after Peter. Peter then shoots a web and swings to the next building, causing Vermin to fall to the ground. While he swings through the air, he comments, "You know, spiders aren't insects, they're arachnids." Peter then turns around in midair, shooting 2 webs at the ground, one on each side of the spot. He uses his momentum to catapult himself towards the spot. But before Peter can reach him, Spot opens a portal. Peter goes through it, landing 3 meters away from Spot. "You can teleport? Seriously? And you choose this career? Think of the tourist attractions you could open. Think of the possibilities!" Peter shouts, jumping away as Vermin jumps after him. Peter's spider sense goes off, so he jumps into the air, barely managing to evade Molten Man's beam. "Hot, hot, hot!" Peter comments as he evades. In the air, he shoots a web at a nearby trash can. He spins it around himself before hitting Tombstone over the head with it. "Now I've had it," whispers Tombstone, pulling out his guns. He fires 6 shots at Peter, all of which Peter manages to evade. Peter then shoots a web line at each of the guns. "Yoink," he says while pulling the web line, taking the guns from the villain. He spins the gun around in the air as if they were a slingshot. While he does, the beetle starts flying at him, so Peter throws the guns his way, shouting, "Hey beetle guy, catch!" The guns fly through the air. Curving like a boomerang, they end up hitting Beetle over the head. The hit breaks his visor and knocks Beetle off his path. Not seeing where he's going, Beetle ends up crashing into a column. He hits the ground with such strength that not only does he fracture his helmet, he also is knocked out unconscious. Peter flinches and says, "Aye, that's gotta hurt." Gravity takes its toll and Beetle falls to the ground. Peter uses the opportunity, shooting a couple of webs to restrain him in place. Vermin jumps at Peter again, screaming, "Food!" Vermin bites into Peter's shoulder. Peter screams out in pain. He hits Vermin in the face with his elbow. Vermin's stunned for a moment, taking a step back, so Peter uses the chance to jump, flipping around in such a way that he hits Vermin with both his legs before landing back on the ground. Peter tries to pursue Vermin, but Tombstone jumps in the way, swinging his fists at Peter. Peter jumps back, evading blow after blow, thinking, "I took down one, but with the amount of damage I've taken, I don't see this ending well. Come on, Parker, don't give up yet. You aren't dying here." As Vermin gains his composure, Peter shoots a web at him, while evading another of Tombstone's punches. He shouts, "No more biting, rat guy," while holding his shoulder. Peter then tries to webline Tombstone, but Spot opens a portal, shooting his web back at Peter, which hits him in the leg. "Does this mean I fished myself?" Peter asks. Peter lets go of the web as to not put himself in a difficult position. He thinks for a moment and webs his wound shut to stop the bleeding. Tombstone rushes at Peter again, trying to hit him. Peter's too fast, however, so he evades the attack, jumping into the air while asking, "I mean, I'm the one shooting the web. I'm basically the fisher, but I'm also the one who hit myself. So did I catch myself?" Tombstone growls at him, so Peter responds, "Yeah, not my best joke, I know." Peter changes his attention and while in midair shoots a bunch of webs at Spot. Spot focuses his attention on the webs, opening a portal to block each web. While he focuses on this, Peter webs Vermin, throwing him at Spot. The throw constrains Spot to the wall. Peter uses the opportunity to swing at them, hitting them with such strength he knocks them out. "Okay, 3 down, 3 to go," Peter whispers while breathing heavily. "Might be able to pull this off after all." Tombstone rushes at Peter again, fists first. Peter jumps over them and is then attacked by a looter, who tackles him. Thanks to his spider sense, Peter managed to evade the second attack, only to be hit in the chest by a heat blast from Molten Man. Peter is thrown back, landing on his ass. Thinking that he took Peter down, Molten Man says, "Looks like your little jokes and comments didn't get you out of this one." Peter gets up, struggling a bit, saying, Not so fast, Hotshot." Peter shoots a web at Molten Man, but it melts before it reaches him. Peter tries to take a step forward. He starts limping. "This is painful to watch," comments Looter. "I'll take you all down," Peter says. "Let's put him out of his misery," whispers Tombstone. Both he and Looter charge at Peter, attacking him over and over. Peter does his best to evade, but is still hit over and over and over. After it looks he's had enough, they stop. "I feel bad killing a kid," says Looter. Is this how I'm gonna... No, I won't let this end like this," Peter thinks. Peter gets back up, saying, "Is that all you've got?" "Just stand down, kid," says Molten Man. "You're just being cruel at this point." "The kid wants more, I'll give him more," says Looter. He charges at Peter. He's significantly slower than before, meaning his quirk relies on him using substances or having to be charged up, something like that. Either that or he's coming down from a quirk enhancer, Peter thinks, noticing the slower speed. Peter takes advantage of the situation, tripping Looter so he falls to the ground before he hits the wall. Peter then shoots a web line at him, spinning him around and throwing him at Molten Man. Seeing his companion flying towards him and not wanting to hurt him, Molten Man turns off the heat. He is still hit by his friend, which causes him to fly into a wall, taking him out of the fight. Since Molten Man cushioned his fall, Looter steps out of the debris ready to fight. Peter runs at him, jumping over Tombstone while shooting a web line at some debris. He spins it around, hitting Looter over the head with it. Peter then webs the pair together. "Only one left," Peter whispers to himself. His spider sense goes off as Tombstone towers over him. Peter tries to get out of the way, but he's too slow. Tombstone punches him into the ground. Peter struggles to get back up, jumping into the air and sticking to a wall. He tries to shoot a web at Tombstone, but nothing comes out of the web shooters. In frustration, Peter screams, "Clogged again! I really need to fix that problem." He uses his other hand, shooting a web at Tombstone's face, impairing his vision. Peter jumps down, hitting Tombstone in the head with the back of his foot. Peter lands, jumping to hit Tombstone with an uppercut. He lands back on the ground, trying to sweep Tombstone's legs, but it doesn't work. Tombstone manages to pull the web from his face, so enraged he lunges at Peter. Peter tries to web his face again, but again no webs come out of the web shooters. He jumps out of the way of Tombstone's attack, complaining, "Seriously? Now? Why do I have to be out of webs now?" Tombstone grabs Peter's arm and without much effort crushes it as if it were a twig. The web shooters break as well. Peter screams out in pain. Tombstone uses the arm to slam Peter into the ground. He lifts him up and throws him against the column. Angrier than ever, Tombstone whispers, "You may have beaten my compatriots, but I assure you, you won't beat me." "What?" screams Peter. "I couldn't hear you over the ringing in my ears." Tombstone tackles Peter, which reminds Peter of a certain bully. His vision a bit blurry, Peter manages to see enough. "Now's my chance," he thinks, jumping up into the air to evade the attack. Thus, Tombstone crashes through a column, breaking it. "Checkmate!" Peter screams, ears still ringing. Tombstone looks at Peter with a confused expression, so Peter points up. Tombstone looks up, so as Peter jumps out of the way, the building comes down, burying Tombstone. 6 down. "Fitting! 6 of you. Very sinister," Peter says. He starts walking away, limping a bit, even having to drag one of his legs, having broken it by hitting Tombstone. "Okay, time to help others." he whispers as he falls to the ground, passing out from exhaustion. 39 seconds later, All Might bursts into the USJ to help. He rushes to the center of the facility to help his fellow teacher. As he approaches the center of the facility, he takes down all the villains in his path. He ends up saving Midoriya, Mineta, and Tsuyu, telling them to get Aizawa to safety while he fights the bosses. At first they comply, but seeing that All Might is in trouble and wanting to help, Midoriya returns. Luckily for All Might, reinforcements arrived right when he's in a bind, being caught almost falling into one of Kurogiri's portals. Todoroki freezes the area, giving All Might the advantage. Laura then jumps at the Nomu, slashing at it. Seeing that he's healing every scratch, she decides to cut the frozen arm, giving All Might the opportunity to get some distance. Kurogiri's about to attack All Might, but before he can, Bakugo jumps at him, restraining him. All Might takes the chance to recuperate a bit. Laura takes the front line, slashing at Nomu. "That girl," whispers Shigaraki, recognizing how she moves. "Run away," says All Might. The comment gets Laura's attention, which allows Nomu to hit her, throwing her back and breaking her arm. "Don't threat. I know you're capable, but allow me. I'll take it from here," says All Might, readying himself. Laura nods and the students head back. All Might then unleashes his full power, hitting Nomu over 300 times at maximum power, which ends up sending him into the sky. The moment that Nomu breaks the USJ ceiling is also the moment that reinforcements arrive, meaning Shigaraki is forced to retreat, but not before Snipe manages to shoot him in both arms and legs. Hours later, Peter wakes up in the infirmary. He gets up and feeling a sudden pain in his wrist, back, and leg. The pain is too much, causing him to scream. "Take it easy, Sonny. You may have fought off the villains, but they sure did a number on you. I didn't even manage to start my treatment yet, but your body seems to have healed a good deal on its own. You even have some third-degree burns that have started healing," informs Recovery Girl. "What happened?" asks Peter, not remembering all the details, mainly because of all the head trauma. Recovery Girl fills Peter in on all events. "Is Midoriya alright?" Peter asks, concerned, seeing his friend laying next to him. Recovery Girl shakes her head and informs Peter, "He'll be fine. You should focus on yourself for the time being. He just needs rest. Don't disturb him." Someone knocks on the door. Tsukauchi comes in. "I heard noises. Mind if I come in?" he asks Peter. "Sure," answers Peter. "I just have a couple of questions. You're the one who took down the 6 villains that were next to those, correct me if I'm wrong, webs? You're him, right?" asks Tsukauchi. Peter nods. Tsukauchi then thanks him and proceeds to take his statement and asks some follow-up questions. "You did great work today. Under these bad circumstances, you managed to take down 6 wanted felons. Thanks," says Tsukauchi as he's ready to leave. "You're welcome, I guess," says Peter in response. Peter undergoes treatment and is sent home. When he leaves the school, he's greeted by his aunt with a big hug, who, concerned, asks, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine, Aunt May. I mean, I have this cool cast, and I'll have it for 2 or 3 days, but I'm fine," Peter answers, smiling to put her aunt at ease. As they walk home, Aunt May says, "I'll make you wheat cakes tomorrow." "Score!" comments Peter. This makes everything totally worth it. And that's the end of the video. Before I end, I do have a small thing to note. While conducting my research for this video, like I usually do, I discovered a small mistake. The anime and manga say that the training in the USJ takes place at 12:50 p.m., but the Ultra Archive shows that during this time is the lunch period. I just wanted to point it out, because I said that in the rescue exercise that it took place in the 5th period, which is after lunch. I know that nobody will care about this, but I do, and it's an inconsistency I noticed, so I thought I'd mention it. I do hope you all enjoy. This series is a bit underperforming, but I'm going to keep it up at least I'm going to keep up my schedule as I had foreseen it, and do as I see fit. Please hit that like button to support me, because you won't deter me from doing this, and you might as well support me if you like what I do. Especially if you want other series, just know that I'll eventually get through them, because I have this whole round robin clock thingy that once I do this one, I go to the next series, and then the next one, and then the next one. I'm not gonna start posting like 5 of the same one and then 5 of the next one. I'm gonna do one, then one. You know, just please hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and all that jazz. Until next time, everyone, have an absolutely fantastic day. Enjoy your morning or afternoon or night, and bye!